All right, excellent. Well, good evening to everyone. Welcome to the PLA kickoff session. I'm really excited about this because the fall semester has officially begun for us at the University of Louisville, and we are underway for the 2023-24 academic school year. So my name is Dr. Randy Whetstone Jr., and I have the privilege and the honor of being the program director for the Organizational Leadership and Learning Program. Now, one of the key factors of the OLL program is getting credit for prior learning. And so we found it necessary as a program and as faculty to provide an opportunity for you to get more understanding and clarity around PLA. One of the first courses that you will take as a student is LEAD 300, Prior Learning Assessment, where you will take much of your experience, training, certificates, and professional development with the chances to earn up to 48 credit hours. And so sometimes we need a little bit more understanding as to how that process works. And so for that reason, that is why we have the PLA kickoff sessions. So we won't take a lot of your time, but to give a quick overview of the kickoff session, you all will get the chance to meet and hear from some of your instructors, as well as alumni of the OLO program. Many of my esteemed colleagues are instructors in LEAD 300, and they have been involved around PLA for many, many years. So they'll provide some great information and some great insight to help you along the way. You also learn a lot of new terms as well as acronyms. And so you can tell that I've already used PLA and CPL, credit for prior learning assessment. So any acronyms or key terms that will be used, we'll be sure to define those and make sure that you have a basic knowledge and understanding of such as well. As mentioned, the goal of this kickoff session is for you to have a better understanding of credit for prior learning. So don't be shy with any questions. This is your opportunity to engage, to raise questions, to make comments so that by the time you leave the session, you leave with more confidence and assurance as to how PLA does indeed work. And then lastly, all of you have the chance to win some UofL swag. And so at the end of our kickoff session, we'll have our awardees of our UofL swag items that we have, and I look forward to seeing who our winners may be. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Roger Buskill, who will take it from here.
All right. Well, here we are. Here's pictures of the faculty that are teaching LEAD 300 and 307 for that matter. Tammy Albers. Tammy is actually a product of our program. She went through the undergraduate degree, got her master's degree, and then is now teaching in our program. So she understands what you are going through right now. And then we have Dr. Janet Holiday. She concentrates a lot on the military personnel that are in our course. Elizabeth Krause, she bounces back and forth between the regular program and the healthcare leadership program for PLA, and then I'm the lead faculty for the 300, and I teach it just about every semester, sometimes a couple of times a semester. So that's the faculty that I think we're all on tonight. So we'll be presenting a little bit later. Let's see, I'm not sure who has the slide.
Yeah, I believe this is my slide. So I'm Susan Hildebrand. I'm staff at the University of Louisville in the College of Education and Human Development, and you've probably gotten multiple emails from me. So I'm obviously thrilled that you're here and going to learn a lot tonight. I just wanted to talk just briefly about our Cardinal Ambassadors. This is a phenomenal group of alumni and current students. So they are actually going to be talking tonight with you. We have a couple on the screen. Joe Hans and Zach Rittenhouse will actually speak with you tonight about the process, maybe give you some tips. But they're also a phenomenal support. So we'll be offering a support session as well 1 week after you start the class. And that's with alumni, just to answer some general questions and maybe help you figure out what you're doing if you still have questions or have any confusion at all. But they are here and they are a resource. So just want to make sure a few of them are on the call tonight. For those of you that are on the call, I'd love for you just to turn on your cameras if you would, and just sort of give everybody a hello.
I might have to go out of slideshow mode. Hold on a second. Okay, so I'll need to stop presenting so they can introduce.
Thank you, Roger. I think we got David. I see David Murphy. David, if you want to say hey to everybody, just hand wave. And the rest of you guys, because I can't see everybody. I think Brittany's on. Zach Rittenhouse is on. Oh gosh, you guys help me out here because we got quite a few alumni on the call. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Joe Hans is on.
Joe Hans, yeah.
Hey, thanks, Joe. We probably have a few more. So if I missed you, I apologize, but hopefully I've got your picture up for tonight. And Roger, I think we're good, sir.
Okay, we'll go back to probably going to have to keep it in this mode because we have some acronyms that we're going to talk about in just a minute. So Elizabeth, I think you're up for this one.
Thanks, Roger. Hey, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Krause. This coming semester, I have a section of 300 that is all semester long, and I also have all of our sections of 307. So for you healthcare leadership students out there, you'll be working with me this semester. I've been at U of L for a little over 15 years now, and the majority of what I do is this PLA course, as well as a smattering of others. So you'll no doubt hear a lot of acronyms and terms throughout the course of not just this presentation, but the rest of the course. I'm actually going to copy and paste those over here into the chat. I got muted again. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. So I've copied and pasted a lot of these terms and acronyms. I'm going to go through a couple of them, but I don't want to overwhelm you over the course of this presentation. So you heard Dr. Whetstone mention CPL, which is credit for prior learning. You also heard him talk about PLA, which is prior learning assessment. That is the process of looking through your prior work training as well as your prior work experience to see what credits can be available to you through this process. Those credits that you request are what we call work specialization credit. And again, they can come from work training, they can come from work experience, they can be upper level or lower level credit. You'll also hear us talk about your HAT or your Hallmark assessment task. That is a major writing assignment that you will have not just in your PLA class, but in your other classes throughout the OLL program. If you're a military student, you'll hear us talk about your JST, your Joint Services Transcript, or your CCAF transcript, your Community College of the Air Force transcript. Those are things that we will use to help you find the credit that you are eligible for through the process. Roger, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. So your PLAD, your PLAD, that's your prior learning assessment documents. That is your request for as few as 9 or as many as 48 hours of work specialization credit. Those hours are coming from your work training or from your work experience. Before we get into that, when you very first start your PLA course, we'll take a look at your education plan. This is a document that was created for you by your academic advisor, and it details not just the courses that you have taken and the courses you need to take, but it also tells us how many hours of work specialization credit you need in order to reach U of L's graduation requirements. So every student must have at least 9, but you can have as many as 48. And we want to make sure that we're working with that most up-to-date information before we begin the process of prior learning assessment. After we've reviewed your education plan, we'll start by writing a KSA inventory and life learning narrative. You'll start by looking at all the positions that you've held over the course of your career and looking at the knowledge, skills, and abilities associated with each one. You'll then use a structured writing protocol to draft what we call your life learning narrative. This is detailing how you developed your work specialization over the course of your career. After we do that, we'll dive into your work history, both the training that you've completed and the experiences that you've had, to determine how we can best find you the work specialization credit that you need to reach U of L's graduation requirements. Throughout the course of the semester, or the half semester, depending on the format of your course, you'll turn in individual assignments to your instructor. Your instructor will review those assignments, provide you feedback, and give you the opportunity to make any revisions necessary before including those in your PLAD. One primary thing to keep in mind as you complete your PLAD is that the important thing is not what you've done, it's what you've learned from what you've done, and that will be the focus of our PLA course. Go ahead, Roger. So over the course of the next week, as you're waiting for the fall semester to start, there's a couple of things that you can do to help get ahead of the game. You can find your education plan. That's, again, provided to you by your advisor or your success coach. If you don't have a copy of it, go ahead and reach out to them and ask them for an updated copy. You can go on to ULink and find your student transfer evaluation, as well as your unofficial U of L transcript. If you've attended institutions anywhere other than U of L, go ahead and find unofficial transcripts from those as well. If you're a military student, get a copy of your JST or your CCAF transcript. Make sure you have that. And then just start thinking about positions that you've held. Maybe pull up your most recent resume, look at the positions that you've held, and look through to find the common theme among all of those positions. For some students, that might be readily apparent. For others, it might take a little bit of digging to find the common theme among all of the positions that you've held. Again, your instructors are here to work with you. They're here to answer any questions that you have, but these couple of ideas can get you ahead of the game as you go into the next semester.
You're on mute, Tammy.
Heck, damn it. Okay. My name is Tammy Albers, and I'm going to talk to you about the APA style of writing. Don't get nervous about it. We have plenty of help and resources for you. So APA, what is it? It's just a commonly used in social sciences type of writing. It's used throughout the College of Education and Human Development and all majors, and then also throughout the college. So you will use that style of writing in every class that you take in the College of Education. Why do we use APA? We use it because it's for uniformity and consistency. That way, all of our writing is the same. Our techniques for looking for information, if you're looking at someone else's paper so you can find things quickly. It also gives you a chance to learn how to properly cite a source. There'll be many sources that you use. Some will be a book, some will be journals, things like that. So you need to know how to cite each one of those sources. And we'll give you plenty of time to learn about it. Go to the next slide. Also, I think Roger said that I'm a product of the program. I am. I've been at U of L for 18 years. I started with my undergraduate degree in the organizational leadership and learning. Then I got my master's, and then I became an advisor for the program. So I was an advisor for 3.5 years before I changed jobs and went to a new job, and then I started teaching. So I think this is about my 9th semester of teaching this class. So pretty proficient at it right now, and just excited to help you all on your journey. So what are some things you can do to get ready? Elizabeth's already given you the kind of the things you can look up, but what do you need to do to set yourself up for success? For one, establish your support system. You're going to need support going through the program. You're going to need people that you can count on, people that can pick up some of the slack. And, you know, as adult learners, we juggle many hats. We have families, we have responsibilities at work. Some of us are even taking care of parents. So we understand that you are going to be a little bit, it's going to take some time getting used to. One thing I would say is definitely establish your support person, because I'm sure you have a lot of cheerleaders who want you to succeed. The second thing I would tell you is get to know your fellow students. Exchange some numbers and some email addresses, because those will be the people you're taking classes with. Some of the people you'll go through the whole program and take a class with every single class you'll have the same person in. So go ahead and get to know them. That way you can ask each other questions, run ideas past each other. And then the third thing I would tell you is ask questions of your instructors. We're here to help you. We want you to succeed. We want to be your biggest cheerleaders. We want to make sure that you are successful. So ask us questions. Come to our office hours. I personally am teaching, I think, Lead 300, Section 53. It's for the whole term. So I'll have office hours every week. So I would say if you need to talk to me, come to those office hours. It's 1 hour that I set aside that I'm just there to answer questions. So I encourage you to do that. The other thing that's not on here is communication. Communicate with your instructors. As I said in my earlier thing, there's going to be life that happens. Everybody is not going to go through this without probably some major life event happening. So just keep in contact with your instructors, let them know what's going on, and they can help you, whether it's pushing a deadline or giving you any other type of support. So communicate with your instructors would be my final tip. I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Roger, you're up, sir.
Time out. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me go back then. All right, so yeah, the Blackboard is the learning management system. When you drill down into it, all of the content is going to be in lessons. This is what you would see on the left pane here. There's 12 lessons that you will go through, and depending upon the length of your course, whether it's 8 weeks, 16 weeks, or 10 weeks in the summer, that's still going to be 12 different lessons. So the content is going to be the same, and it just depends on the duration of how much you cover that particular week. So lesson 1 would be an introduction. So if you look at the right side there, it gives the content of that lesson. All of them will have a lesson overview, lesson objectives, assigned readings, some type of introduction, and then there's other content there also. So any of the files that you would need, the assignments themselves, everything will be in each one of these lessons. So all of the lessons are laid out exactly the same way with these different components for the 12 different lessons. The ones you'll see there, the first couple of them are the ones that get you into used to the program. And then we start talking about APA. Tammy's already talked about that. Calculating credit, that we'll do that through your education plan. And then we start talking about your style of writing, where you will then start using that KSA inventory and using that to write your lifelong learning narrative. That's an exciting paper, and You'll see as you start writing through there, you didn't realize just how much you have accomplished in your work career. So that's always an exciting time getting that paper written. So like I say, everything is in Blackboard. All the content that you will need is located there. Can't show you all the website there, but hopefully you've already had a chance to look at the website, and you'll see that the content is laid out the same. And I think Janet's up now.
I am. So just a quick anecdote for the military students, and while I'm telling you this quick story, if I could have all the military students just type their name in the chat and their branch of service, just so we kind of know who's out there. So my last job before I retired in 2019 was Chief of Staff at Fort Knox, and my executive assistant was a Staff Sergeant, E6, who was enrolled in this program, got her bachelor's degree, went to Officer Candidate School, and now she's a captain in the Army. So lots of success for military students in this program. So the first thing that we suggest you do, and Elizabeth already talked about this briefly, is get your JST, get your Joint Services transcript, and get it for transfer evaluation. Keep a copy for yourself, because you're going to want to know the classes that you took that did not transfer, because those will be worth credit in other places. And then also get a copy of your student transfer evaluation so you can kind of bounce the two off those of each other. For the Air Force, the vernacular is a little bit different. You're going to need to get your CCAF transcripts, get a copy for yourself, and then do the same thing with the student transfer evaluation. And then think way back. If you've been in 10, 15, 20 years, or you're retired or whatever, way back when you were, an E3 or an E4, you probably took a week-long course that is not on a transcript somewhere, like Loadmaster School or Master Fitness, and it was 40 hours of training that you did not get college credit for. Well, you can claim that in this course as long as you can prove that you took the course. So try and remember back to those courses that you took and be able to provide documentation that you took those. Can you go to the next one, Roger, please? So the second thing you can do with your military experience is ask for occupational experience credit. So this is just kind of a ballpark here. This isn't always the case, but in general, if you work in a job from E1 to E5, that would be a lower level occupational experience credit. So for every year you spent in that job, you can ask for 2 credit hours. E6 to E9 supervisory generally will get you an upper level credit. So 4 upper level credits for each year that you spent. So again, those are not absolute. You'll have to run them through ONET, but for every year that you spent in the military, you can ask for credit in this class. I'm teaching one section, but if any of the military students have additional questions, they can always reach out to me or to Elizabeth, who was in the Air Force, and we can help you out. But all of the instructors have all of this information and know exactly how to help our military students. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I think I'm up for my favorite part, is introducing some of our fantastic graduate students, Zach Rittenhouse and Joe Hans. Zach, I'm going to call on you first to talk a couple of minutes about your thoughts on the program in general and anything that you would like to inform the current students that are on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. As Roger said, my name is Zach. I currently work as a learning development operations manager at an organization called Braze. And this program really kind of helped launch my career in some really, really rad and fun ways that even I did not expect. Because of my involvement in this program and the education that I received, I've been able to speak and present at national learning development conferences that center around tech and education. I've got to do some really rad things, and it all came from taking the first step and jumping into this degree program back in October of 2019. I finished in December of 22, and it's been a wild ride in all of the best ways. I had Roger as an instructor. I had Randy as an instructor. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out. My email address is on the ambassador's website, and I'm pretty accessible at all times.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I think, Joe, I think you've got your own slide, so I'll let you introduce yourself. And
Yeah, thanks, Roger. My name is Joe Hans. I'm a marketing person. I've
done marketing for the past probably 25, 30 years. I was in the program starting in 2012. I was in it for several years, and then I took a few years off for some personal reasons, but I came back and graduated in about a year and a half after that. So all told, I probably spent 3 to 4 years in the program in actual, classroom and study work. I was very interested in the program when I first started back. I had to take care of some core classes first, and I was told about the program then. And when I finished my core classes, I decided, to look into it further. And I met with Matt Bergman, whom many of you might know or might have known. He has unfortunately left the program to go on to bigger and better things. But Matt was a real big influence on me deciding to go with the program, and in general is just a real cheerleader, has been a real cheerleader for the program for a long time. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really got a lot out of it. It helped me really understand, kind of where my place is in the modern organization, if you will, because I've been in the workforce a long time, but I tend to view myself as a lifelong learner, and so I will continue learning until probably I quit or resign or retire, I guess. But the bottom line is, I'm really glad you all are here, and I hope if there's any questions that you have about anything, Zach or myself or any of the Cardinal alumni can certainly answer questions via email. Our phone numbers might even be available. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but if you ask nicely, I'm sure somebody will be happy to give it to you. So.
Yeah, it looks like you have a support session coming up.
We do on the 28th at 7, same time, 2 weeks from today, and I will be there. I'm not sure who else will be there. I'm sure Susan will probably be there because she's usually at those things. But yeah, we'll definitely have some time to talk about anything that the students have, any questions that students have about the program and or particularly around your prior learning assessment class.
Yeah, that'll be good timing for you because you have already had that first week under your belt, and then you say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I need to go to this session." Well, that's what that session is all about, and you'll have the experts. They've recently gone through the program. They know exactly how to help you and give you the information that it's maybe the white noise of the organization, how you can really get things done. So if you can possibly do that, that would be definitely worth your while. And so now, it's your turn to ask some questions. We have the industry experts right here. You can just unmute and ask your question if you like.
I'll go first. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm assuming that if we have not taken any previous classes at UofL, we will not need our transcript or unofficial transcript from UofL. Is that correct?
No, you need that right away. We base your credit request on any of the transcripts that you have will be transferred. You will send to U of L, submit to them, and then invite. Will state will put together a student transfer evaluation so that you'll know exactly how many hours that you can request. At times, there will be some of these that won't have transferred to U of L, and they'll be labeled no rule. And many times you can use those as for a training request whenever we start talking about the training method of PLA. So yeah, you need to get your transcripts in as soon as you can.
Okay, so I've got my transcripts in. However, when I pull up on the ULink or whatever it is, their U of L does not show an unofficial transcript. However, they do have my transfer credits listed in there, but they don't. It's not shown as an unofficial transcript.
Well, so if you've had classes at U of L, they're going to show up on this student
No, I
transfer.
have not had classes at U of L.
Oh, okay, yeah, but you have other.
Correct.
Yeah, well, that you won't have an unofficial transcript.
Okay.
But you will have all of those courses that's shown up for that you submitted to U of L for transfer on that student transfer evaluation, and we base a lot on that.
Yep. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. STE. Yeah.
Since you guys are all here, I guess I'll ask my question. My name is Don Voda. I joined a few months ago, and can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I joined a few months ago. I took 2 classes over the summer, I believe A and B term. So I've already submitted my JST. I have the unofficial, like I've been in ULink, scores, everything there. I have the unofficial transcript that shows that like the underclass and upper class that you guys are talking about, the credits that I received. Now, is there anything else I need to provide, or am I like ahead of the game?
Well, you're definitely ahead of the game if you've already done that. There's going to be lessons you'll be involved with where you will need that information whenever you start making your credit request.
Don, if I can just hop in. Yep, you are ahead of the game because you've already submitted that and it's already been evaluated by U of L. You're still going to want a copy of your JST as well as your student transfer evaluation. I'm not sure whose class you're in, but they'll explain to you. In general, U of L awards nearly all of the credit recommended for military training, but they generally don't award credit for military experience in the transfer evaluation process. So we can do that during PLA.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm sorry I was unmuted with my children in the background.
Don't worry.
But thank you so much for that. I thought I was muted.
Absolutely. Welcome.
More questions, please.
I have a quick question, Roger. With all the students on the call tonight, how many, by show of hand, you can just raise your hand. There's a little hand raise, in your teams. How many, is this your first class? Can you raise your hands?
First class in the program, or first class at U of L, or first class as college credit period? I'm not sure what the...
Yeah, I'm sorry. First class in the program period. Good. Great. Thank you all for letting me know. It just gives us a sort of a quick peek at how many of you are actually brand new to the University of Louisville, and this class particularly, because in the past, students and alumni who are on our call tonight have said to us it's a little confusing. Susan, I got a little confused. So part of the alumni ambassador said, hey, why don't you guys just do a kickoff session to help students first, acclimate to this course, because it is different, and it's different from any other college course you'll take at the University of Louisville. So it's good to know how many of you, this is really a very first class for you in the program. It is unusual. It's not a typical class. There's a lot of intensive writing, but you have unbelievable faculty who are going to step in every day, every moment, answer any of your questions, be attentive as humanly possible. And I think Tammy, I'm going to reiterate what Tammy said. Please communicate, communicate, communicate. Our faculty want to hear from you. Our instructors want to hear from you, and they want to help you get through this class successfully and earn the college credits that you're obviously very worthy of.
So I do have a question. Since I'm taking this particular class not as a flex, but like a regular semester, I'm going to assume it's on Blackboard week 1, the syllabus will pop up, like it'll all look similar, even though the course is different.
So you're talking about the healthcare leadership, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Healthcare leadership was previously on 2 systems. We are now right back down to 1 system. So you are going to see everything on Blackboard.
Okay.
Dr. Anastasia Miller, who is our superstar for our degree program, will be probably connecting with all of our students soon. But you also have Elizabeth Krause right here, live right now tonight, who's been teaching that course. Elizabeth, for at least 6 years. I think we've been in 6 years now in the healthcare leadership program.
I've been with healthcare leadership since the beginning, and I've been with the traditional OLL program for a little over 15 years now.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer your question, if you're in healthcare leadership, you'll be in Lead 307. It will be on Blackboard. We are in a new version of Blackboard called Blackboard Ultra. So if you've not been on Blackboard in a while, it might look a little different, but I think you'll find it to be a lot more user friendly and easier to navigate. So yes, everything will be on Blackboard.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, welcome.
I believe Miss Kina Pugh, maybe you need some clarification.
No, it's just my first time, and it was just a lot to take in. I'm sure I'll learn it as I go.
You will just chunk it out. We'll be there with you every step of the way.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm not 100% certain that the division I am or the section I'm listed in is the proper fit for me. If I take this class, how will that transfer into another, whether that's healthcare leadership or if I switch to, I think currently I'm in the technology sub, I don't know how to say the right word. Focus. Thank you. But I've kind of been pondering the thought of switching to a different one. And am I wasting my time by taking this time? Is there more than one Lead 300 class, or does this apply to all of the different focuses?
Yes, everyone that is enrolled in organizational leadership and learning, they are required to complete Lead 300. But if you're in healthcare leadership, it's just a different number. It's Lead 307. If you want to talk with your academic advisor, I would do so this week or next week, right? Because I'm not sure about the transferability. I suspect it would count, but Tammy Albers is on our phone. She was a previous advisor. Not that I want to bring you back into the advising world, Tammy, but I wouldn't want to miscommunicate as well. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Really, all of the Lead 300 classes are the same. So any class she takes in 300, it would transfer either way. 307, I'm not sure about because I've never taught it, but Elizabeth is on here, so I'm sure she could jump in and answer that. But yeah, all the classes 300, it doesn't matter whose class you take, it's going to be the same across the board.
Absolutely. Course materials for Lead 307 are identical to course materials for Lead 300. We have those healthcare leadership students separated simply because when we started the program 6 years ago now, we were using a different system, using a different format, and not following the same calendar as we did with the rest of our courses in the OLL program. Now that we're merging back in, course material is similar. We just still keep those healthcare leadership students separated in their own section of PLA.
Thank you so much.
Did that help you answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we have a hand up. Britt, maybe Britt Leduc.
Sorry, I think my hand was just still left up from the question asked earlier about it being the first class. So
okay, terrific. No problem.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we can let the hands down. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
As we're going through our life's work, so to speak, are we going to need to contact those past employers in history and try to get any information from them, such as catalog learning information or full job descriptions? Or is there anything that we're going to have to get from the past in preparation for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is Roger. Yes, you will, because there's two methods of requesting college credit. It's through prior training and prior work experience. So regardless, you would need to be contacting those employers to get your HR records, if you will, as if you're going to go through the work experience route. We would need to know the dates the years that you were on that particular job, and then what training did you have in those companies. So there would need to be the a documentation for that training. So yeah, you would need to be starting to contact those organizations that you've worked for.
What if those organizations are no longer in business?
That's when it gets tricky. You would need to try to find someone that you had worked with, someone that could verify that you worked there, and then we would need to get their contact information. Elizabeth, can you chime in on that?
Yeah, that happens more frequently than you would think. So you are not alone if that has happened to you. Just like Roger said, if your former place of employment is no longer in business, you can reach out to a prior manager, maybe a former coworker, something along those lines. You're certainly not alone. That happens frequently, and sometimes we kind of need to think outside the box to find ways to document that learning, but your instructor will work with you and figure out what works best for your situation.
Yeah, it's a situation where we trust you, but we still have to verify that you were there, and that's what we have. That there would be a letter that you would request from that person, and it gives their contact information. So it's a little bit more formal, but yeah, we do that all the time, to Elizabeth's point.
Awesome, thanks so much.
I saw a question go by in the chat about how far back students need to look in terms of their work history. For the purposes of your writing assignment, that KSA inventory and life learning narrative, we generally tell people to go back roughly 10 years or so as a rule of thumb, but you're certainly not limited to that. If you have valuable, credit-worthy experience or training that is beyond the scope of those 10 years, we can definitely include it as long as we have some form of supporting documentation to back it up. Several years ago, I had a student who was 78 years old, and we did everything that we could to get him the credit that he needed, and we looked back well beyond those 10 years and were able to get him the credit that he needed.
Yeah, and this is Roger, and that's why it's so important that you communicate with your instructor. We're all versed in how the ins and outs of that work, lots of gray areas, but we can help you through that process for sure.
Any questions at all about work specialization? How many hours to request? Has everyone taken a look at their education plans that your academic advisors have given you? That's fantastic. I'm glad to see that. And then Elizabeth or any of our faculty, the question from Sarah, what types of experience are you looking at and how does that determine how many hours you're able to earn?
Well, if you're talking about credit request for workplace employment, we generally would credit you with 2 college credit hours per year of work. And if you were on an upper level job, it would be 4 credit hours per year of work. We haven't mentioned ONET, but that's a repository of all the jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs that from the so you would find that job on ONET and it will let you know if it's upper level or lower level. So yeah, it all starts with your education plan. So you need to find out how many lower level credits you need, how many upper level credits you need. And then as you go back into your work history, you look those jobs up on ONET. We've got an entire lesson on that. So don't be concerned that you're going to be doing this without more explanation. But you look those jobs up on ONET. In fact, that's one of the things we take a look at, because that helps you write your narrative, because you can look at the knowledge, skills, and abilities. Those are all spelled out on that ONET for that particular job. But yeah, you would find the job on ONET, see if it's upper level or lower level, and then you're able to request college level credit if it's in your work specialization.
This is Tammy Albers. I'm just going to jump in here. Don't get stressed out about the hours. We understand it's a little confusing, but we take each lesson and every lesson builds on the one prior, and we really do walk you through it. So you'll understand about that lower level, upper level training versus work experience. So we'll explain all of that. It's a lot to take in tonight, so I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed. Sorry, I got to mute. My dogs decided they got to bark.
So do we have any more questions?
I'm sorry, could I ask one more question? So if I already turned in my JST and they gave me my credits towards the bachelor's degree, do I need to do anything more to get these credit hours? Like, or did they already translate it all? It's on my degree plan, and the amount they said I have, that's how many I have. Are you guys saying I need to find more?
No, what you'll go through the process of looking at your education plan to see how many credit hours you need, and then you request that through different types of worksheets and essays that you write. But that all culminates in one particular worksheet that you filled out called a specialization credit request. That credit request is what goes to the registrar, and that's what we as instructors work with you on that. So it's based on the worksheets for your occupational training and occupational experience. Those credit hours flow into that one sheet, and that's where you make the credit request. And it should you should request, try to get as many hours as you can based on what your education plan states. The ULink, the documentation that you have there is important, but that's just a reference in order for you to fill out these worksheets.
Hey, Donna, this is Janet. You're in my section that starts in October, and I just sent you an email. If you just want to answer that, I'll help you work through it, okay?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Roger.
Sure.
So I have a question. So in a lot of my positions, I have done more than what was required by the job description. How do I put that in writing, or how do I add that on to? Because I think you said when you go to OnNet, you look up the jobs, if I'm correct, by the job titles. But sometimes I've done things beyond my job title. So how do I get that noticed, I guess?
A lot of times when we start looking, this is Tammy Albers, I'm sorry, but a lot of times when we start looking at job descriptions and using ONET, you'll find many people find this situation that if you type in your job description, it gives you like a list of maybe 4 or 5 things that are related. And sometimes you have to combine 2 of those to really, I'm so sorry, my dog. Lucy. Sometimes you have to combine two of those to really get an understanding of everything that you do. Does that make sense? Because, you know, a lot of us are doing jobs that are well above what our pay grade are, but we're maybe not being paid that because we don't have the degree. So that's kind of where we're making up for it. Does that make sense?
Yes, because there are a lot of jobs, for example, like in the parking, my previous job was with the parking department here at Louisville, and I did my parking duties, but I also did some design work, designing the parking permits. So that wasn't a part of my job description, but I had experience with that, so I was given the opportunity to do that. So that's why I was wondering how to combine
and even
that.
Something like that, you could also submit like maybe some of the things that you designed. So that type of thing would be a good indication is you've done this, you provided. I had a student a couple semesters ago that she did a lot of graphic design work, but really that wasn't her job. So she in turn submitted some of those items that she created, and that was a way to validate her work, that her experience that we were asking for.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is the person making all that noise. I'm sorry.
We've got time for maybe a couple of more questions before we wrap up. Susan, are you ready for the last slide?
I think Tasha had a quick question or maybe a statement. Yeah. Damien, we're getting ready to do the swag. For Tasha, you wrote in the chat, this is the second time I've enrolled in the program. Does this make a difference in the needs assessment course? I'm not a faculty member, but I'm not sure I understand your question. We do have a needs assessment class. I don't know if you want to elaborate quickly. Yes. Do you want to turn your mic on? Tasha, we can always answer your question after the event as well, after the session.
And the needs assessment course is a course kind of like the other courses. It's on how to perform needs assessments. So if you have not taken it before, I would assume you would approach it just like any other course you have not taken before.
Welcome, Jake. Jake is signing on, you guys, from South Korea. Roger, I'm ready when you are. You just let me know.
Ready for some swag.
All right, I'm going to share my screen then, and hopefully you guys can see it. Let me jump on to our, and Roger, can you see the screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Okay, I've loaded everybody's name, every student's name into our wheel of names. And tonight we're going to give away 3 swag bags. And after the event tonight, I'll send you an email and ask you for your mailing address. Okay. And it'll be full of fun things. So here we go. We're going to spin the first one. I have to highlight you guys as you win. Michelle H. All right, Michelle, you're our first winner. Okay. We're going to spin again. We got 3 winners tonight. Who is our second? DeWalker. I'm not sure if I have your name correct or not. I hope so. Yes. And we're going to spin one more time. Oh, Robin S. And I hope you're on the call. I hope these 3 folks are on the call still. Congratulations. I'll get everything out to you in a fun swag bag. Everybody that's on the call tonight, though, you may likely go into a drawing for a Jeff Brom autographed football in September. So if you'd like to go into that drawing, just shoot me an email and let me know. Roger, I think we can wrap it up for tonight. Thank you, faculty, for attending and helping our students through this class. And this is being recorded. I'm going to stop the recording now. And this recording will be sent to everyone to hopefully within the next 20